Hello everyone, I'm Charlie Tolhurst and welcome to my latest YouTube video today. And this video is talking specifically about the launch of GB News. So last Sunday, Britain launched one of its biggest news channels for 24 years as GB News launched on Sunday the 13th of June. And GB News is a news station that is going to be broadcasting across the UK. It's a right-wing station that is aimed at challenging the likes of the BBC and Sky News with very different factual news programming and also very different segments. It's making news stories for you. Now, what the show all kicked off on Sunday with the launch of Andrew Neil launching the show, the chairman and the lead anchor of GB News, along with Dan Wootton's Tonight Show as well. Now, in this video, I am going to be talking about specifically what schedules and programming GB News has to offer, as well as go through some of the main aspects of GB News. Now, GB News is not a 24-hour rolling news station like the BBC is. This station does have highlights that play. Now, I'm going to talk specifically about GB News' programming for you today to get an idea of what is on the station. So, the show programming kicks off on Monday. Okay, the full programming list will be on from Monday to Sunday. And I'm going to go through exactly who's on the station for you. So the programming will kick off on Mondays. By the way, this is all weekday programming I'm going to go through today. So on Monday, every morning, the Great British Breakfast Show will be on, which will be hosted by several celebrities. Kirsty Gallagher will be on that show. There's also Darren McCaffrey, who's on there as well, who deals with the political side of things. Also, Nana Akua is also on that as well. And also a few other famous faces as well form the Great British Breakfast Show. That is on during the week between the times of 6 and 9. So you can listen to that when you wake up in the morning, especially if you're planning to go during your morning commutes to work. GB News will be on with the Great British Breakfast Show. And trust me, there have been some interesting topics discussed on the Great British Breakfast Show so far. You can visit them on the GB News YouTube channel as well. Also, after the Great British Breakfast Show, we then come on to a show that takes place between 9 and 12, which is where former Sky News journalist Colin Brazier will also be presenting his show. This show also, Colin Brazier does present with another famous news journalist as well. Another journalist that was signed up by GB News. And of course that person in question is of course Mercy Maruki. She presents alongside Colin Brazier between 9 and 12 on GB News on weekdays. That's to confirm weekdays, what I'm talking about on the schedule. Then we have, after Colin Brazier's on air, we then have a 12 till 3 show where two interesting people present on that show as well. A former Labour Party MP will be taking the airwaves in this interesting show, which features two presenters, DiPerio and Halligan. Two people there. See Luke Halligan on GB News as well, and Gloria DiPerio, who formerly used to be a member of the Labour Party, present that show between 12 and 3 on GB News during weekdays. Also during weekdays as well, between the times of 3 and 6, we have another big partnership, and this is when we start getting into sort of the afternoon, evening section of GB News. So the afternoon show during the week is presented by Simon McCoy, who used to be a former BBC news journalist, and also as well someone who is very familiar to right-wing viewers, and particularly people who supported the Brexit Party quite a few years ago. Alex Phillips will be on that show as well. Of course, Alex will do her agenda segment on the show, and Simon McCoy does some good news apparently every 1:15 on that show as well during the week. So I'd love to. It's great that they've got a nice balance of positive news and some very interesting news stories on that show. Definitely something that turns more positive, especially during the difficult times we're currently living in at the moment with coronavirus. So some interesting lineups on that day there for during the week at between 3 and 6. From 6 till 8, Michelle Dubry will take centre stage with her show called Dubes and Company, which basically reacts to the big news stories. That's the evening show, by the way, 6 till 8, that one, for that. And then we have the 8 till 9, the big 1 hour show, and probably the main show on the station. The lead anchor and chairman, Andrew Neil, presents that show for 1 hour. The show that basically gives you different viewpoints. Also has a segment called Woke Watch in it as well, apparently. Woke Watch. Very bizarre segment. I'll get on to the other person in a minute, Andrew Doyle, because he's actually got a show that I'm going to be talking about in a minute as well. But yes, Woke Watch is on there. The Viewpoint as well. Also lots of interviews, of course, tonight as well. This evening at 8 o'clock, Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, is going to be on Andrew Neil's show. For this will be the first big interview he's going to be doing since the launch of GB News on Sunday as well. So Rishi Sunak, Chancellor of the Exchequer, will be on this evening on Andrew Neil's show. And then we have the Tonight Live show, one of my favourite shows on GB News, presented, of course, from Sunday to Thursday by Dan Wootton, who used to be on Talk Radio, former Talk Radio drive time presenter as well, and also a very popular journalist from New Zealand, of course, and quite a famous journalist across the country. Writes for The Sun, writes the column in The Sun, I think, called the Bizarre column, I think. He was on there the other day, definitely a lockdown septic in terms of Dan Wootton. Sharp take on all the news stories. Nana Akua will be doing the Friday and Saturday Tonight Live show as well, and you can find that on GB News between the times of 9 and 11. That show runs all throughout the week. But that is 9 till 12, actually. That show is 9 till 12 on GB News. So that is all of the week's shows. But we're going to then move back onto the weekend now, because the weekend we've got some interesting shows that are lined up for you. So we've got the Great British Breakfast, and around 12 o'clock till about 3 in the afternoon at the weekend, Alistair Stewart will be presenting. So Alistair Stewart is only going to be doing weekends on GB News, but Alistair Stewart and Friends is going to be on. Of course, Alistair Stewart formerly used to be an ITV News presenter, but he's going to be fronting his own show this weekend. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Alistair Stewart does on GB News this weekend, and that will be an interesting show to see as well. We also have another good lineup of shows coming up, a very interesting lineup of shows, should I say, coming up on GB News this weekend as well. With some interesting artists. Yes, Free Speech Nation is going to be on this weekend. A weekend show. This will be a not short time, but it's going to run for a couple of hours. Andrew Doyle will be presenting this show at the weekend, Free Speech Nation, which is going to be a show, I think, more like about freedom of speech. So giving people their own views, having a say on things. Free Speech Nation, which I don't know whether that will include the segment Woke Watch. I don't know whether that's going to be on Free Speech Nation. This show will only run, I think, once a week. I think this show is on a Saturday, for what I'm hearing. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this show gets on. Freedom of this show by Andrew Doyle. By the way, I'll repeat the show. It's called Free Speech Nation, but with Andrew Doyle. And this show will run at the weekend. So it's a very interesting show, this one here. As well as that, we also have another show as well. And this is one of the final shows I'm going to be talking about specifically on the programming for GB News. And that is Neil Oliver Live. Neil Oliver, once again, this show will air. I think this is another weekend show. I think it's a Saturday or Sunday show, but this is airing at the weekend. Neil Oliver, former history guru, this man. Also a political activist. He's going to be presenting a show at GB News this weekend as well. So yes, it's going to be very interesting. So of course the presenters I mentioned, Andrew Doyle, Neil Oliver, Alistair Stewart, they are going to be doing the weekend shows on GB News, just to confirm as well. Dan Wootton will still do his Tonight Live show on Sunday, and that's really the only change up in terms of the scheduling. Obviously, the Great British Breakfast Show will still go ahead. I think that is slightly longer at the weekend. I think it's a 2 or 3 or 4 hour show, if I remember. So overall, I have watched some of GB News. I think this is going to be a very good, a great station. I really like the content they've got in already. Is this better than the BBC? I really think it is, actually. I really think GB News is really good. I understand that when it launched, it did have some technical issues, but it's had some big guests on. Nigel Farage has been on, of course, the Tonight Live with Dan Wootton. We've got the interview with Rishi Sunak later this evening on Andrew Neil's show. And I'm sure we're going to have many more big-name interviews on GB News as well. And this station sounds like it is going to be a massive hit for the British public. And I really think bringing Fox News style news to the UK is something we've been wanting to wait for ages. So I'm really glad to see that the UK is finally turning into something a bit more conservative. And this station as well will really make people want to enjoy the news a bit more. It'll be a unique take on news stories. And this station is packed full of great content. I really like the content on GB News. I think it's going to be a very successful station in the months ahead to come. And I'm sure it will generate lots of revenue for the news industry. This station is certainly something that has never been seen in the UK for many years. And in terms of obviously comparing it to Fox News in the United States, this station is certainly going to be one that I think a lot of people will really enjoy listening to. Thank you for listening to this YouTube video today following the launch of GB News. And if you have any questions, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And please comment down below if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me about GB News, about the content, about the programming, and about just in general the presenters on the station. Because there are some very notable names, as I mentioned in the video today, regarding some of the presenters and also their former backgrounds on other news stations across the UK. Thank you for listening, everyone, and take care. See you next time for another video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.